I see him. He little dude just he got the handle. He got the handle, and he just shaking out. He crossing everybody in the hood like they like Zoe, come guard him. I'm like, I walk in. I got my ball go to the other side. I'm like, man, I ain't about to deal with that.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Straight Shooters Podcast, where we speak on the raw, the unfiltered, the authentic vibes, and we just want to always start up by saying thank you to everybody who's watching, to everybody who taps into us as we grow together, as we continue to climb up the totem pole and the mountain together. It's always a blessing, and we're just grateful for all the feedback and the interaction we get. Another shout out to my fam, my boy Josh Powell, for the last episode. It was amazing. Thank you for blessing the pod. You gave so many gems, so many insightful things, and that's always what we want. We always want it to be transparent, real, and just good vibes, genuine vibes. Today is another amazing banger. The reason being is because we have across from me a gentleman who is yet another Georgia high school legend, but just not even high school, but we talking a pro, certified winner, certified, okay? And when I say that, I mean, I had the honor and privilege of playing against him at Milton High School on the back end of his career within my first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. And he's one of the first guys I've ever witnessed with a full, well-rounded game, and he never spoke. He was a silent killer. To this day, that's the word on him. I mean, he goes by Lorenzo Brown, but ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to know he has played in so many countries: Russia, China, Greece, Israel, Turkey, Serbia, Spain. I mean, the list is long, y'all. Italy, it's long. G League MVP, Israel Cup winner, all Euroleague first team, all Euroleague second team, Italian Super Cup winner. I mean, this man is a certified dog/winner. And that is a culture that is one of one when you correlate that to what a legend is. There's nothing less than greatness that comes from that. So with all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, Lorenzo Brown, y'all.
Appreciate you, my boy.
You already know, bro.
Hell of an intro.
Yeah, you already know, man. I got to make sure you get your flowers, man, because in the era of basketball where you weren't the only big dog, let's talk about that. We can get into that in a minute, but people really got to understand, and y'all can do y'all homework along with listening to this episode about how competitive, and there's been a lot of buzz about, oh, is Georgia a basketball state, football state? It's a basketball state. It's a football state too, but we push out dogs. We push out dogs, and if you do your research, we everywhere. We global. So, Lorenzo, for the people / Zoe, you don't mind if I call you Zoe?
No, yeah.
All right. It make me more comfortable. Right. For sure. So Zoe, go ahead and give the world an understanding, just a small background story on what you come from, the season of life you're in, and what's to come for you, but where you're at in life.
Yeah, man. Started off, I was first born in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, you're an Illinois baby.
Yeah, man. Born in Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
Moved to Georgia probably when I was like around 5.
Okay.
To the Cobb area, Marietta. And, moved around a little bit, and, just tried to find my path, man. Huge household. My mom moved from Rockford with my aunt, so my aunt had 3 kids, my mom had 4. So it was a 7-kid household.
That's a big house.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So we was sleeping.
Yeah.
4 to a bed,
Yeah.
man. 3 to a bed sometimes, man. So, it was a struggle growing up a little bit, but, I found my path. I think basketball was like an escape route for me. I remember middle school, I lived in over by Six Flags.
Oh yeah, down 20.
Yeah.
It ain't too far from where we at.
Okay, right, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to Lindley Middle School, man. And,
Okay.
Behind my house, they had built a rec center, South Cobb Rec. And every day after school, I would walk there every day. Homework. I'm putting all that down. I'm going to the gym hooping, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
I think that was the start of my love for the game.
That's what's up, bro. So you really almost like, you know how they be saying Marietta, Marietta.
Right, 100%.
You really, yeah.
100%, man. I also lived, man, if you were in Marietta around, 2000-ish, around that 2000
It
range,
was
I
lit.
lived in off Lemon Street.
Okay. I know what you're talking
There's
about.
a neighborhood called Lemon Street. I lived over there for like a year or two, man. And,
Okay.
that was the projects of Marietta at
Right.
the time. So, I was around. I've been around, man. I've been around Cobb for a little minute.
Yeah, Cobb. I mean, there's some great basketball in Cobb. Shout out to the guys that came from Cobb, Ryan Harrow, Daquan Jones. I done had some Cobb guys up on the show. And those both legends right there, big names. But let's get into leading into your decision to go to Centennial, which is located, for y'all who don't know, in Roswell, Georgia, which is North Fulton, and it's a great area. It's great academics. It's great athletics. So let me know how that transition happened for you, as far as leaving the Cobb environment and community to changing and moving that way.
Man, so it started when I was playing with Inner Strength.
Okay.
AAU around the summertime.
Big program.
Right.
Been
right.
around for years.
Right, 100%. And it was an opportunity for me to make a different move, change what I was doing, change how I was living. You know what I mean? So shout out to my mom for actually doing it.
That's real.
We were, like I said, we weren't the richest. We weren't poor, but we weren't like,
Yeah.
we were growing up, man. So
Right.
Centennial was definitely an eye opener when it comes to like diversity. You know what I mean? Because I was coming from all black side of town to predominantly white. So, but
I can relate. Milton's the same.
it was amazing. It was amazing though, man. Centennial was great for me.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, of course, that's where things really like skyrocketed for you. Of course, in correlation with, playing AAU ball, getting on the circuit. And back then, that was really important. Nowadays, the AAU circuit's a little different, and it's more political. And, of course, the transfer portal's changed a lot because they only looking for transfers and really just JUCO guys or whatever, right? So shout out Coach Whiteheart, because you a Milton head coach now, and you played under him. This a full circle moment, because you played under him. I watched him win with Milton firsthand. Went to that championship and watched him bring one home for us. So how was it playing under Coach Whiteheart? And you had my boy Adrian Hubbard on one of those teams, right?
No, Hubbard was on our team.
Adrian wasn't on that Centennial team.
Rogers.
Adrian Rogers.
Yeah, Adrian Rogers.
Sorry, I got it confused. Hubbard's Norcross.
Right.
That's my buddy too. Sorry. Yeah, there's too many different ones. But Adrian Rogers, we went to a Phenom camp together back in 8th grade. Phenom top 150.
Shout out my boy A-Rod.
Yes, sir. Shout out A-Rod, man. Shout out A-Rod. Even Cam Bellin. Yeah, those are my guys, man. It's crazy how small of a world it is. But speak on just when do you feel like a light bulb switched for you? And what year was that for you?
Man, my freshman year. That's when I actually started to see like more of like the best talent in Georgia, and I was actually competing with them. You know what I mean? As a freshman, competing with all the juniors and seniors. I'm scoring 20 balls and 30s, and I'm just like, damn, like I'm pretty good at this, And after that, Whiteheart became my coach my sophomore year, and
he got there sophomore year.
He was an assistant at the time.
Oh, gotcha.
My freshman year, he was an assistant.
Gotcha.
But he would always, be around because he was a horse. He was a workhorse. Whiteheart's a workhorse, man.
Yeah.
But, we'll be getting up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
6, 7 in the morning to work out in front of schools. And that's how I knew he had it in him, though.
Absolutely.
My bad, Whiteheart. That's how I knew he had that. He had that motor, man.
Right.
He's getting up with me, working me out, training me in front of coaches, and I'm just like, damn, this is real.
Right.
I can go to a D1 college just off of some basketball shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
That's when it kind of locked in for me, man, and my focus changed.
That's big. Didn't you make it to the state championship one year? Was that your sophomore year, right? Who was that against again?
Norcross.
Right, Norcross, and that was against Al Farouk, them, right?
Al Farouk,
Ghani Lawal, Big light-skinned fella, right?
What Jordan was it? Not the Mercy. Not the Mercy.
They had Muhammad too. Tyreek Muhammad.
Right.
They were loaded.
They had a squad, man.
Yeah,
but what's so crazy about that year was my freshman year, man. In school, had to sit out first half. You know what I mean? First half of the year, and then once I came back, second half, the only game we lost was that championship game.
That's crazy.
But the school showed up that game, man.
That's a hell of a run, though.
100%.
I mean, second semester, you only lose in the finals.
100%.
I mean, that's a run, bro. So I think that might have been the moment where things really took off for you, because you carrying that team along with a couple, supporting cast. No disrespect to y'all, because y'all was cold
100%,
too.
100%.
But you kind of were the head of the snake. Not kind of, you were. And I remember seeing a picture of you in that finals, man, in the newspaper. And it was a newspaper, old newspaper, a GHSA, and I was like, man. Then soon enough, we were following right behind y'all. Milton, my boys, my brothers, Shannon, Jay Lloyd. Shout out my brothers, Julian Royal.
Yeah.
Those are my brothers. We came swinging, trying to make something happen. But every time we played y'all, it felt like a rivalry in college.
Right.
I mean,
Facts.
playing y'all at Centennial, y'all playing at Milton. Those games, foggy windows, shoulder to shoulder.
Beating on the pad.
I'm telling you. It's different. It's Coliseum. It's different there.
Right.
Yeah. So just reminisce just for a quick second with that. How was that for you? And also becoming a upperclassman, watching underclassmen, talent, come in and compete. How was that for you?
Right. Well, in that whole North Fulton area, man, there wasn't many schools that had that high level talent.
That's true.
It was just a select few. We had Wheeler, Milton, Walton. I mean, I can't think of any other names, but I can name like two more, man. If I,
probably Norcross and Peachtree Ridge, maybe.
Peachtree Ridge.
You had a few. You had a few,
man. But when those games came,
it came.
It got real, man.
Absolutely.
And, you was hoping just to bring your best, your A game.
That's it,
games, man. Well, with y'all too, y'all were young, man.
Right.
Y'all were all sophomores at the time when I was a senior.
Right.
And we knew what time it was.
Right.
We had to come play, man. Y'all were strong. y'all competed. Y'all moved that ball. Y'all could play too, man.
Right.
So,
right.
you said, those games are always battles, man. They were always fun to think about and reminisce on, for sure.
Man, I definitely remember those like it was yesterday, and it's a beautiful thing when you look up now and you still see guys doing it at the highest level. So that's a testament to you and some of the other brothers that took it that far, and that's also a testament to the competition here. Right. So we can switch paths, and we can. So what made you really choose NC State? But before that, you played a year at Hargrave, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Speak on that situation, because for me, I think that was like the beginning of an era when it comes to people really understanding there's more than one way to maneuver the system and keep your eligibility. So when I remember when I heard that about you, I was like, that brother's smart. He's keeping his eligibility. He's not rushing no decisions. He's making the right decisions. So tell me that transition from Centennial to Hargrave, and then we can speak on why you chose NC State.
Man, it was more of a discipline thing, man.
I like that. Because it's a military school, right?
100%.
Right.
Military school. It was the 100th anniversary when I got there. And for sure an eye-opener.
Of course.
I still remember the first day my mom dropped me off, and we had the post-grad dormitories, you know what I mean? And I get there, I got like 3-4 bags, heavy bags too, man. I'm chugging them up the stairs into the doorway, and they like, oh yeah, the elevator don't work. And it's 4 flights of stairs. But what makes it worse was when I got in there, all like the football players were there already.
Yeah.
And they got their uniforms on, man, and they just screaming, banging on the wall, boom, 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 boom. They like just happy to see. They just happy to see people. They banging on the wall.
Good energy though.
Yeah, good energy.
Yeah.
And they like, the elevator don't work. You got to walk up the stairs. So it was 4 flights of stairs. And I counted the stairs since it's still 180 steps. I still remember this.
Wow.
Because it was always on and off. But man, Hargrave was an amazing experience, man. waking up at 5 in the morning to the formation. You got to march to breakfast, lunch, you know, dinner. You got to march, all that. You get in trouble. You got to walk this thing called the bull ring.
That
So during lunch, they had this big ass square with tape, and you had to. They played the dun 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 dun. You had to march to that beat around that square.
Oh my goodness!
Until lunch was over.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean? So
that's crazy.
Luckily, I only had to go to that month twice. But other people I know, bro, was in there every single day, man. Just because they didn't want to come to formation or make their bed in the morning or just have that, you know,
that
attire.
neatness. Yeah,
you got everything on point, man. So
that's real discipline, though, and I think that did carry over for you. And you already by nature and your reputation already you're introverted. With of course the outside world, people who in your circle, I'm sure feel different about that, which is most people. But I think that discipline is key, and of course in today's world, I think a lot more young brothers could use some straightening up, some straightening. You know, so that's what's up that you did choose that. And was that more so it was a choice, or was it because you felt like you wanted to give yourself some time to make a better decision for the next move?
A little bit of both, man.
Okay.
A little bit of both, you know. Because you never know when you're ready to just go off and live by yourself. Some people just make sporadic decisions and just go live. But like I said, I wanted to be cautious. And obviously, NC State played a part in that decision, which kind of what made me go to NC State, besides that I knew guys that are already there.
Right.
Richard Howe was already there.
Right.
Wheeler High School.
Of course.
Ryan Harrow had committed.
Wasn't C.J. Leslie then?
C.J. Leslie had committed, and me and C.J. played on the same AAU team.
Right. So you had a lot of ties there.
Yeah.
It made you feel more comfortable, like at home.
100%.
Right.
And I wanted to be comfortable, man. I didn't want to go nowhere and just feel out of place.
Right.
But if I had an NIL or something like that, it'd be a little different. But, you know, back then, you know, we can maneuver like that. But, yeah, that played a part in it.
Absolutely. So was that your top school? Or did you have other schools on the list that you were, like, really considering at the time?
Yeah, man. So UConn and Florida were two schools that I could
see you playing at UConn. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I had a bad trip up there, though, man.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Who was the coach at the time? It wasn't Hurley. It was
I couldn't even tell you.
Calhoun? No, Calhoun. Was it Calhoun? Might have been Calhoun that coached Kemba, right?
Right. Yeah, so it was around that time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to visit, and it was gray, cold, raining.
Right.
I'm like,
this ain't it.
Yeah, I can't do this. And it was far from the crib, too.
Right. Yeah, Connecticut's it's really you gotta really want to be out your comfort zone, because you're going to feel every bit of that uncomfortability every day until you just tune it out or just deal with it.
Right, for sure.
So we can transition to, and when you left Hargrave, you still kept your 4 years of eligibility, right? So back then, those were the rules. And so let's talk about how you transitioned your freshman year, and we could speed it up slowly after that, from sophomore to junior to you going to the league. So let me know how that transition was for you for the first, freshman, year of getting adjusted. Of course, you got an extra year under your belt from that prep school year, which I think is an advantage. I think that gives you more confidence. That gives you a little bit more leverage. But let me know what it did for you.
Man, so my first year was lit, man, because I was coming in with two of the biggest recruits in NC State history.
That's a fact.
Ryan and CJ.
That's a fact.
So I just piggybacked off of that a little bit. Maneuver my way in and prove myself that I was a top player. So I mean, I wasn't I came in as a shooting guard.
Right.
And I played that role for that year, and that next year we switched coaches because we were trash my freshman year.
Wins, losses, kind of thing. Not talent-wise, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we just we changed coaches and had to figure it out, and that's when I moved to be a PG, and that's when everything kind of went uphill.
Is that more so where you feel comfortable as a player?
Right, 100%. 100%. I didn't know that then, though.
Right.
I was always playing off ball and moving from the 2 to the 1, but being a PG for the entire game, I had no clue that I could, do that. But once things got going, I got a little more comfortable. I got comfortable quick, actually, quicker than I expected. But, once things got going, man, it just, like I said, it went uphill. And next thing you know, I'm averaging 6 assists. You know what I mean?
I mean, your junior year, you averaged 7.2 per game, and you led the ACC your junior year. So that was a great year to go ahead and say, all right, it's time. Because I remember that year. Because, I followed all the Georgia, brothers. Because, that's how we do. We keep up with each other when we leave the crib. You want to see how everybody's doing. You keep up with the numbers, wins, losses, all that. But, seeing how you adapted also, too, with the level of talent you had, with Ryan and all these, both the Richard and, the other Leslie as well. Tell me how it was once you got in that junior year. What switched for you, because your numbers went up even more. So each year they progressed. So from freshman to sophomore to junior, what do you think during that sophomore summer really was like? Was it the coaching change? Was it, how you did say the PG role changed a lot, but was it you getting comfortable with being a PG? Was it you scoring the ball and dishing the ball? Like, what was it for you?
Man, a bunch of everything, man. Like I said before, man, my focus changed.
Right.
My mindset changed. Just me having that thought that I could actually go to the league,
That's big.
made me, lock in a little more, be in the gym a lot more, and actually having people believe in what I could do made me a lot more comfortable with just, being out there, and it's my junior year too, so I'm already accustomed to what CJ does, what Richard does, what, Scott Wood does,
tendencies.
guys like that. They tendencies, bro. So it made it a lot easier for me. And then our offense we ran was simple.
Right.
Push the pace. We ran a triangle offense. I think UCLA, the UCLA offense, man. Like I said, man, I had the ball in my hands, man, and Coach Godfrey gave me a chance, and we went from there.
That's a beautiful thing, man. And this is the big thing. What changed for you instead of saying, let me go ahead and start this senior year, or let me go ahead and bet on me? What was that for you?
Honestly, man, I wanted to leave my sophomore year.
Really?
Because I had a breakout year that my sophomore year.
You sure did.
We had two big recruits coming in as well with T.J. Warren and Rodney Purvis.
I remember that.
Right, and then we were 6th or 5th on ESPN.
Right.
So, why not stay and see what we can do?
Man, Rodney was a big guard. He was like a halfback.
Rodney was like that.
I remember watching his highlights. Boy, he was
Shout
an
out
ox.
Rodney too.
Shout out Rodney. That's a name that y'all got to do your homework on that brother. That brother was an ox. He would attack the rim. He could dunk the ball. He was a slasher.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of everything, bro. I enjoyed watching y'all back then. I think that was like peak NC State.
For sure.
And of course, Josh Powell and them had a little run when they, went to the tournament and, took Duke down a couple of years. Was that the year before you got there or something like that? Or maybe 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 2 years. I think JJ was there
Right.
before me then. Right.
Hickson.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out JJ Hickson. He's another Georgia Wheeler guy. But yeah, man, that's a good reason to want to leave that junior year. But like you said, you wanted to test the waters that sophomore year to see how all the dogs would come together.
Right, yeah, man. But yeah, the league was just on some, being sporadic, man, and wanted to, test what I could do, and I felt like I was ready. School became, I ain't gonna say it really boring, but it became really boring. Just walking around campus and it just got out of the way.
When you
make some money, man.
Right, it's time. You knew. Once you hit that, when you're in that realm, it's a different feel. Like at this point, it's like, what are we twiddling our thumbs for? And it's like, you're going through that same regimen, and of course your grades determine, if you're eligible,
Right.
which is also could hurt your stock. So it's like, why are we playing? What are we doing? Let's go get the bag, agent. What's up? You know, so you got drafted to the Timberwolves that year, right?
Yes, sir.
2013. That was a big draft.
It was.
You had Giannis Antetokounmpo. You had Otto Porter, Victor Oladipo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Georgia guy. Ben McLemore, Trey Burke, he's an Ohio and Georgia guy. Dennis Schroeder, Shane Larkin, Tim Hardaway, Rudy Gobert, Glenn Rice Jr., Cowboy. Shout out Glenn. Shout out Big Glenn. You already know what it is. But, man, it was loaded. I'm missing a couple, too, because it was loaded. It was loaded. So if you could walk us back through that moment for you. I mean, your life's about to change. You're going from amateur status to full pro. You got family that depend on you, that have believed in you all these years. Like, what was that like for you, bro?
Man, it was amazing, man. That whole process was great because I threw like a draft party.
That's tough.
You know, and
it's only right.
Everybody pulled up, you know what I mean? So, and, you know, we waited till the second round, but my name got called.
Hey,
I don't give a damn what you say. Out of millions of players, man, my name was called, you know, so.
Absolutely.
You know, that's something I always, like, dreamt about as a kid is, you know, having my name called at an NBA draft, you know, just that whole feeling was amazing, man. And it wasn't nothing like it, to tell you the truth.
Right.
So, you know, that changed everything for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, you're in a small percentage of guys. How many thousands of high schools out here? How many millions of players that are aspiring to do what you accomplished, which is even just get to the draft board and know that you hearing whistles about, you know, stock, your draft stock, and this team wants to work you out. It becomes so real. And you being another guy that I've listened to that experience, it's almost been even kill when it comes to, like, of course the experience is different for everybody, but it's a dream come true because you work so hard to get to that moment. And then, of course, that's when the journey begins. That's just the beginning of the work.
Right.
So we can move past the Timberwolves, but I do know that who ended up acquiring you? A Springfield Armor after that, right? Yes. How did you can start telling me that journey, then we can get into overseas.
That's funny as hell. I didn't even remember that damn team. But
hey, man, I did my homework, brother.
So you know, when you're a second round pick, you have to try out still.
Right.
So when I tried out for the Timberwolves, I got cut, and then
shame on y'all. Shame on y'all.
No, they made me who I am for sure. But,
right.
So I get cut and go to Springfield, and not even 2 days into training camp. First off, let me tell you about Springfield, man. Springfield, Massachusetts, man. We were practicing in a old ass YMCA, man. And this was when the G League was the D League at the time, man. And it was treacherous, boy. Right. Treacherous.
Real trenches.
Yeah, real trenches. You know what I mean? But I got the opportunity to play with some great guys, man. And, you know, like I said, everything is an eye-opener at times. But like I said, not even 2 days before training camp start, my agent called me. It was like, Philly wants to sign you. Got my shit and I'm gone. You know
right. I mean? Like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm with it. So it was a partial deal, but at the same time, I got a shot.
Business and business.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So shout out to Philadelphia for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I was one of the first, quote unquote, two-way guys because I would be going from Delaware back to Philly to play, you know, with the 87ers.
Yeah,
I would go back and forth. And not for nothing, I was one of the first guys to play in a D-League game and an NBA game in the same day. You
was in the trenches. You was putting that work in, bro.
I was grinding, bro, but it was all fun, bro, because, you know, we love this game,
absolutely,
bro. So,
absolutely.
You know, I was doing it just because it's the only thing I knew at the time.
Exactly. And then as you went, you also learned more about the business side and how to maneuver and what made sense for your career. Not just what we doing, but like what's really the right chess move to make.
Right.
And I think people see that throughout your career and see how things have worked out. And when we get further down the line with how the EuroLeague worked out, Euroside worked out it worked out great. But after you ended up winning the MVP, you made a couple All-Star teams too. So you made about 2 All-Star teams in the G League, which, again, y'all don't understand how hard it is because there's only but so many players that make the NBA, that make the G League, that make the All-Star team. There's like 20 guys, if that. Mm-hmm. So y'all got to put that in perspective because a lot of y'all young fellas, it's easier for y'all because you got Instagram, you got the flashy highlight reels, 30-second reels. And you're not really understanding. Back then, you had to really grind to get those. You had to earn those. Ryan Harrow, his brother, shout out Harrow, he had to earn that. He earned his. He had. I remember watching your Hargrave tape.
Yeah,
No, that was back then. No, for real. I mean, you gonna keep up with your hometown. But how was that for you? What mode? You clearly were in like just straight lock in when you were getting those All-Stars, and then you won an MVP. Was that with the 905?
Yes.
Yeah, that was with 905.
Yes. So, yeah, man. So I came in to the league at like 22, 23. So I didn't win that MVP until I was 28,
right,
29. And that was actually my first time like playing in the G League the whole year. So the other times I would get call-ups, and I would, stay the rest of the year with the NBA.
Right.
Call up, stay the rest of the year. And then that following year, when I started playing the 905, that's when the two-way started to happen.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Right, so we were in Mississauga, and I would just be back and forth with 905 and the Raptors. And, shout out Jerry Stackhouse, man. He put the ball in my hands, and he let me rock. So,
Stackhouse, he also he's been in Georgia for some time, too. His son, he was coaching his son. My brother actually played for Stackhouse Elite growing up with his son. I used to watch Stackhouse. He's a very good brother.
He's a real one.
He's a real one.
I love Stackhouse.
Absolutely,
man. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
He definitely understands the game. Of course, he's in that UNC, pipeline, and he just understands basketball. And on top of that, like you said, off the court, he's a great individual. So, question: was my brother Jordan on that team?
Or, he was on the team the next year.
Okay, he came the year after. Okay,
on the team the
shout out Lloyd.
Yeah, shout out Jay Lloyd too.
Yeah,
man.
for sure. Hell yeah,
that's my boy. Yeah, man. But that with that MVP thing, man, that's when the game kind of just slowed down for me. I had been in the G League so long, it was like a cakewalk at that point.
Right.
Reading the game, picking my spots. Like I said, I was obviously a little older, 28,
right.
29 years old, and I had the ball in my hand, so I was.
It's time.
Yeah, I was on kill mode for sure.
Absolutely. It showed, and based on what you said, the age thing, I think it's more so just you were seasoned. You were more seasoned. You were more well-rounded. You understood, like, look, I went through the early freshman, fresh meat side of it. Like, I'm here. People know what I can do. I know what I can do. Let me keep showing it. So what made you want to choose to, because you ended up playing your first overseas year in China, was it?
Yeah.
That was China, right?
Yeah.
So how was that, and what was that transition like from, what was your mindset? Was it like, because back then there was a different view on the NBA and overseas play. I don't see why that was like that. I think it was more of a popularity issue. I don't think the money was any less. Of course, the NBA guys do make a different tax bracket if you're one of those guys. But what was it for you in your mind?
Man, honestly, I just wanted to be in the NBA. That was my whole goal as a kid. I had no idea about Europe and Euroleague or the Euro Cup, any of that stuff. So my whole goal was to be in the league, and actually tried to go overseas after my first year after Philly. And as a player, you have to go there and get checked out, physicals and all of that. And I have like not even like a heart murmur, but I have you have two vessels in your heart, and one of mine is closed. But when I run, it opens back up, and it's it's all good. But they couldn't figure that out at the time. So when I went out there, I was sitting for like weeks. They were just trying to figure it out. And I'm like, man, I'm not about to sit here.
Of course.
Not play. I can't even lift weights or play basketball, so I just dipped. I dipped and went back to the D League. And, thugged it out from there. But, yeah, man, that jump was You know, it was nerve-wracking. At the same time, I'm like, I'm hooping.
Absolutely.
You know, I didn't know what to expect and I was in Serbia too. I didn't know what to expect. But it was all love, man. They're fanatics over there.
Oh yeah, Serbia, they don't play.
Yeah, they don't play at all.
They don't play. They love their
that.
basketball. They love their teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your favorite place to play thus far in your career? And what would you say? It's a two-step question. So, favorite place to play and your most successful place across the waters. Would you say?
Favorite place to play? You mean like team or just like arena?
Well, I mean location. I mean ball club. I mean the entire thing. So, you know, what was your favorite place to play as far as, you know, team morale, location, like way of life, and then like on a successful tip, like where was your favorite place to play as far as like where you felt like your career really took a turn for the better in that market?
Obviously, you know, the NBA is, you know, top notch, but
of course
overseas, I have to say Israel.
Yeah. Maccabi?
Yeah, 100% Maccabi.
Yeah.
Shout out Maccabi too, man.
Yeah.
People don't see how nice it is over there.
It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, man. You know, you're on the water 24/7.
Right.
Like you walk outside, you can walk to the beach in less than 5 minutes. You know, people are cool. Nobody's messing with you, man. You know, just living life, man. So, and also career-wise, that's where it took off too. And not for nothing, the Spain EuroBasket opportunity that kind of boosted everything up. But I spent 2 years in Israel, man, and it was like no other.
Those were your years where you were all first team EuroLeague, and those were some good years for you. I remember that, and I think that did shoot your stock up a lot. On top of, I was watching that EuroBasket. That was in 2022.
Yes, sir. That was special.
And that was special. Y'all won gold against France, right? Yeah, that was special. I will say, and who was on that France team? Gobert was on there. Couple big guys.
Fournier,
Evan Fournier.
Yeah,
they got dogs.
Nice. Yeah, they
league
nice.
guys.
Yeah, they nice.
Yeah. So, and you were the head of the snake at the PG, and it was beautiful to watch you. You know, and you had, what was the other brother that's in that movie?
Juancho.
Hernan Gomez.
Juancho, yeah. That's my boy.
Yeah. He could play now.
Yeah, Juancho, nice.
He could play. See, that's also the other thing. What would you say is a misconception? Because you got hoopers all over the world.
Right.
And of course, like you said, the NBA is the NBA. It's the top. And there's no question about that. But do you think that they get enough credit over there? Because you're playing in hostile environments. You're playing in environments where they really take pride in their country serious.
Right.
So how was that for you, you know, and playing in front of thousands, and, you know, whether you're in Spain or Olympia, you know, Panathinaikos, is that how you say that?
Yeah.
And, you know, Russia and those countries, you know, including Israel, right?
Yeah. Man, like you say, that passion that they have for basketball out there is like no other, man.
Yeah.
You don't really, like you said, you don't really know until you get there. They had chants, they got songs,
right.
And not just one side is singing. Everybody's singing in a full gym. The 50,000 people singing, chanting, cussing at you.
Right.
They throwing that, you know what I'm saying? Like when you shooting free throws, they're gonna throw a coin at your head.
That's what I heard.
They're gonna shoot a laser in your eyes so you can't see. Wow. You know what I mean? So it get real, man. I remember a story they told me my first year when I got to Red Star in Serbia. They were like, last year, their championship game, they were playing their rival team, and they said before they got on the court, they ran out. And some of the fans were on the court dribbling the ball, and they wanted them to take it from them so they could do their layups.
Wow.
I'm like, man, we're going to do that. They like, right. You got to fight everybody when you come in. They trying to pull that off.
Exactly.
But they doing that to you, though, man. They trying to punk you.
Right.
But, you know, you got to come correct, man. You show out, do your thing. They're going to show love afterwards.
Yeah. So what was your favorite place as far as environment, you know, like atmosphere that you played at?
So I have two.
Okay.
I have two places, man. Red Star and Partizan.
Okay.
And Olympiacos, Panathinaikos. They get real.
I saw a clip of y'all playing one day, and everyone's just jumping.
Yeah.
How can you hear the coach? How can you hear a whistle?
You can't hear a thing, man. You just got to hoop.
You just
That's the
gotta
fun
hoop,
part about
right.
it. Like, you
Right.
trying to look over to the coach, you can't hear his it's like he's mute. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to go do your thing, man. But like I said, everybody, they're rowdy as hell, man. But it's just basketball. They're passionate about it. But
Right.
they'll do all that craziness during the game, but afterwards, if you have a good game, they're going to show you love.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you made it out the storm.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you last a few years out there.
Yeah.
Now you got love from every country because you done seen it
Exactly.
at least 5-6 times.
Yeah, the respect, it comes. Yeah. I feel like that's the difference. That's one thing we don't do enough in, the States is respect a guy who really shows resilience at a high level and shows growth and development. In the NBA is a little different because, people get critiqued a little different and criticized. I think even in college, leading into the league, you got the AJ, the Bonster, and you got, that hype gets real with these guys, and they start critiquing every little thing they do. Just let them hoop, man. Just let's see what they turn out to be.
For sure.
Let's see what they do when the lights is brightest. But let me ask you, from the league to G League to overseas, toughest players, and you can give me 2 or 3. In the States or overseas, but what comes to mind for you? And they could be Americans or, foreigners, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that I've seen.
That you played against, that really stuck with you.
Right. Obviously, you got the Brons,
Right.
the KDs,
Of course.
the Kawhis.
How was that for you, man, playing against some of the GOATs?
Fire.
Yeah.
Fire, bro. Like, that was cold experiences I've been in, man.
Yeah.
Just being able to see how they maneuver, how they think. I know people talk about how Bron he's calling out this and that, and it's true. Like, he's actually doing that on the court. He's telling, like, he'll tell you what you like to do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and you like, damn. Or he'll tell you to play or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just watching guys that have that basketball mindset and who that intelligent to pick up on that type of information that fast is impressive, man.
Absolutely.
But, you know what I mean? I've been in overseas, man. It's guys like that. You got Mike James.
Shout out Mike James. He played with my boy Jay Lloyd. And now they back together now.
Yeah, shout out Jay Lloyd. Jay Lloyd, one of those guys too, man. Jay Lloyd been grinding for a little minute, man.
Absolutely. Shout out Lloyd. He gave you your flowers on that one. It's a fact.
That's my boy, man. That's my boy.
That's a
fact.
fact.
Yeah, man, it's night and day, man. It's so much tremendous talent across the world.
Oh yeah.
That nobody gets to see, man. And hopefully, if people watch this, they'll tune in more to European basketball.
Absolutely. So I wanna bring up your boy Ryan. Shout out Ryan. This is your segment. We've been talking about you for a bit, and I want to give you an opportunity to speak on that bond, that friendship. I know he was out there in Milano with you recently, and I know y'all go back to the Sandlot.
100%.
So what does that relationship mean to you on and off the court?
Man, it's an amazing feeling, man, to just have a friend / brother who I've known since I was 8. You know what I mean? I'm 35 now, man, so you don't really have people who can be in your corner for that long. You know what I mean? So I think that's it's very important, man, just to have that brotherhood and connect with somebody like that. Because, I met Ryan at South Cabaret.
Yeah.
And we were 8, 9 years old, and I walk in and I see him. He little dude, just he got the handle, and he just shaking all he crossing everybody in the hood like they like, Zoe, come guard him. I'm like, I walk in, I got my ball, go to the other side. I'm like, man, I ain't about to deal with that. Right. But that's when I met Scrap, man. I met his dad brought me in, man. So I just been blessed to be around a lot of good people, man. So it kind of formed me into the person I am today, just being around so many good spirits, man. And, like I said, it's a blessing, man.
Absolutely. Genuine vibes, it goes a long way. And if it's real, it won't never fade through thick and thin.
That's a fact.
So this is the surprise I have for you. We're going to show it on the screen. But I had to show you the picture. Go ahead and give me your reaction, brother.
I remember this day, too.
Oh, my gosh. Y'all got the froze. Y'all got the roll bounce froze. You and Ryan. I had to go ahead and pull that one out the box. You know what I'm saying?
Should I show the camera?
No, you ain't got to show it. We going to show it. We going to show it. That's for you.
This was Team Georgia, too. This was Derek Dickerson.
That was Dickerson. That's why. That was another reason why. And shout out to E. White, Eric White, my big brother. He right there.
He right there.
Yeah. Shout out to E. White for blessing me with the files, dog.
That's funny.
Yeah, I had to.
Shout out my boy E. White. That's funny.
Yes, sir. I had to make sure that was a surprise I was talking about.
That was the first AAU team I ever played for. And not for nothing, the older team, we were, 9, 10 that year? Our older team had guys like Wesley Witherspoon.
Oh, shout out Spoon. He was on the show. That's my dog,
Yeah, Trey Tompkins.
Oh, my gosh. Trey was cold.
So I've been around, guys like that for a little minute, man. Tariq Muhammad was out there.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, man.
I've been around a lot of good talent, man.
Absolutely. And again, that goes back to what people continue to go. It goes over your heads. We got some hoopers, and it started really young. So I hope that y'all go back and watch all these episodes of Dogs, including this dog, and understand that it's a basketball state, man. Yeah, you got your SEC. I mean, no disrespect. I got homies that played. I'm sure you do too. That played at the highest level in football. Because it is a football state, but we really hoop in Georgia, yo. We get busy on that court, and it shows over time. But I appreciate you giving me that segment on Ryan, and shout out to Ryan again. And it's a beautiful thing when you see the correlation between just brotherhood and sports, and it's really genuine. It's not performative. It's real. It's not for a click. It's not for none of that. It's love.
100%.
And that's what I stand on. That's why I love seeing that. So kudos to y'all, and y'all got your flowers on that. But I got another question. I like to keep them rolling, keep you on your toes. What has the game of basketball done for your life?
Everything. Everything, man. It allowed me to get up off my ass and go, make something of myself. To tell you the truth, I was been able to travel, been able to witness so much great talent, man. I was able to set myself up financially forever.
That's
you know
love.
what I mean. So
that's a blessing.
That's something people should speak up about more too. Is being smart with your earnings.
Ooh, gems. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. I love it. That's
why I'm like, look, these NIL, these young guys, man, I hope they're putting their money in the right places, man, because, in an instant, that could be gone like that, man. So
tear your knee up, thigh,
yeah.
Achilles.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out how you going to manage that money. And financial advisor, you got homeboys who asking for bread every 2 days, 3 days. What you doing? Man, you parlaying, you getting the strip club. What you doing? You putting it up? What we doing?
Yeah.
And it happens in a lot of fields outside of basketball when you get a lump sum of money and you never really learned financial literacy. And that goes back to a lot of different cultures, especially the black culture. Because we weren't really taught through generations to really manage any of that. Because our generation before us didn't have that type of money and didn't know what to do with it, never saw it. A lot of our generations are blue collar workers, hard 9-to-5s, OT. Some come from handed down money. Which is okay too. We don't choose how this is gonna pan out. Yeah. So no offense to the spoon fed. There's no silver spoon. I don't judge.
How you live,
but that's a great point that you made, because I think a lot of guys, they really, a financial advisor is important, and not just a financial advisor, just doing right with it, making the right decisions. And if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, but learn from it and make better decisions. And you can really attest to that, because like you said, you set up for life, and that's a bold statement to say, because you still playing. Mm-hmm. There's things you could do with your money right now that could make you make some bad decisions. You make one bad decision or 2 or 3 bad investments or whatever, things could shift. But you got a family, you a husband and a father, right?
Yes, sir.
Respectfully, I'm saying,
sir.
Respect. You already know what it is. Yeah, 1,000. But so you got a family to provide for. So you thinking about, your wife, the generation for your son, and your son, right?
Yeah.
Son, and his generation, what's going to be left behind? The legacy. Legacy is everything.
For sure, 100%.
So thank you for that part. And I got a question. What advice would you give outside of the gems you've already given to the youth that aspire to do what you do, aspire to be a pro?
Advice that I would give is be patient, man. I know as a professional player, I was always in a rush to make M's, make money, you know what I'm saying? Trying to impress coaches and, teammates and all of that. But, man, at the end of the day, it don't matter, man. As long as you're in that lab or doing whatever you're trying to do in life, you locked in, feeding your brain the right stuff, man, and, just laser focus. I think laser focus and, laser focus is very important.
Absolutely.
Because you can get easily sidetracked by everything.
Distractions are real.
Yeah, 100%. But like I said, feeding your brain the right stuff, man. And reading is important too, y'all. I know that sound cliche as hell.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Tell these brothers. Tell them. Tell these folks.
That
tell them.
Important, man. Read books, man.
Preach.
Because at the end of the day, it's a lot of information. I know Twitter and Instagram is cool. Pick a book up every now and then, man. That change everything. It'll open your eyes financially. Your creativity change. You know what I'm saying?
Your intellect.
Yeah, intellect will change. The way you speak to people will change. So it's it's a bunch of knowledge out here that could be learned, man. And hopefully everybody is trying to feed their brain the right stuff.
That's a fact. That was a humble and very gem-full response. So thank you. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. I hope y'all caught that. That was a mic drop. So I just want to say my boy Josh Powell, he has a book called What I Wish I Knew. And he wrote a whole book on it. And I started to think like, let me start implementing that question. What do you wish you knew when you were young Lorenzo, young Zoe? What do you wish you knew that you now know? And that, of course, that's in correlation to kind of how you just answered that question. But really think about, what do you wish you knew? And what do you think, if you knew that, would have changed maybe certain things within your journey?
I wish I knew about the approach to things. I was always told when I'm hooping, at least, just the hoop life, dunk it hard. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Shoot a three, let them know about it. You know what I mean? I wish I kind of had that push as a kid. You know what I mean? But everybody's who they are at the end of the day. But like you said before, if I knew that reading and looking up things that I didn't know would help me in my life, I would go back and start a little earlier.
Absolutely. I think too, like even how I mentioned earlier about how I observed you back when I was younger. Because I mean, again, you were 2 years older than me. We were sophomores. All my brothers, Dejan, Shannon, shout out all my brothers. We looked up to guys like you because we wanted to compete and beat y'all. But the thing about it is, when you really observe at that level, you really peep the tendencies. And the main thing that stood out to me is when the storm was storming, and White Hart was over there, emotional, trying to get y'all to come together, and he's trying to make sure things get executed correctly. I never really saw you rattled. Was that a skill? Was that something you always had? Was that something you worked on? Like, what is that because it's a skill, I believe, that could either be obtained or it's something you have.
I think it was just my demeanor, man, to tell you the truth. I'm still that way to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I try not to be rattled, but inside I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? What the hell's about to happen? Yeah, what's about to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I try not to show too much expression, because I feel like if you look somebody in the eyes, you can tell if they scared
That's
or
a fact.
if they happy. You know what I'm saying? So I try to keep a straight face as possible, so you can't read me. You know what I mean?
You've been good with that, man.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to just walk up on me and just read me just just look at me can tell the type of person I am. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But
that's respect, because that's what you give.
Yeah, man, I don't like that. But, you know, I like to be mysterious. You know what I mean? To an extent.
Right, of course,
you know,
of course. No, that's what's up, man. I think that the mixture and the markup that you have as a person and a player that works well for you, and when you dig inward, you learn how to pull out the best versions of yourself and continue to work on them and sharpen those knives, right? So I think you're doing really good with that, bro. Just
Appreciate
your flowers
bro.
on that,
Yeah,
bro.
thank you, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Who is your GOAT in basketball? Who's Lorenzo's GOAT? Who's Zoe's GOAT?
My GOAT? Well, my favorite player of all time is Vince Carter.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Vince is respectful. Respectfully, that's a great answer.
My favorite player. I mean, I have a NBA moment. My first, I was starstruck. You know what I mean? At one of my first games in Philly, we were playing, I think it was the Mavs maybe.
Yeah.
Not too sure, but I checked in the game, and they're shooting free throws, and just randomly stood by Vince Carter. And he was like, "What's up, young fella?" And I was just like, I had to snap out. I'm like, "Oh, I'm hooping." Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, "Damn, that's Vince Carter, bro." But that's a fire story to tell. But GOAT-wise is Bron.
I like that
Just
answer.
because, you know, I'm an Illinois guy too, but I love MJ, bro. But I got a chance to see Bron 2 different times in the playoffs. Once in Detroit and once with the Raptors. And boy, hey, I don't know if y'all remember, it was against Toronto, and this one they was calling it LeBronto. And bro was just coming down, just shooting fadeaways the whole time. Just shooting fadeaways. And he was doing it on purpose. I just feel like he just playing around, bro. He was,
and they love to critique his jump shot.
oh, man, dude cold.
I'm a Kobe guy,
Right.
but I do respect every last one of those guys within those tiers because he's in that room. And I ain't never going to say he's not.
For sure.
You'd be diabolical to say something like that. Or just delusional, one of the two or both. But yeah, man, I appreciate those moments because, I mean, you, along with other guys who have been able to experience being in those arenas and checking in or just tapped into greatness, it's a different feeling probably. Just I can't even sit here and say outside of a spectator's eye, you know, I've played at a high level, but not to the point where you were there in the mix, in uniform, in the league, with some of the guys that millions of these young kids look up to. So that is, I'm sure, a whole different feeling. And just listening to your side of it and your experience, it's a beautiful thing because you still have that humility about it. You're not against saying, "Hey, I got starstruck with VC." And that's real.
Yeah, right.
That's real. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that to you, like man to man, like 100. You know, and a lot of these young kids today, I feel like ego and pride plays a factor too early. And of course, the NILs play a role. EYBL, coaches hyping these kids up before they even see any type of anything. Like when it comes to like real deal motion, like you can get an NIL and then, bro, what happens when you don't produce?
Right.
What happens if your knee give out? What happens if that school don't want you no more and they got another guy over here? What happens? Now your ego and your pride jacked up, and that happens with a lot of these young kids. So it's great to hear a sense of humility at a high level from a guy like yourself who's done it, who's still doing it at the highest level. What does fatherhood mean to Zoe?
Yeah, man, fatherhood is amazing, man. I had no clue either. You know what I mean? Because I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't really understand it.
Right.
But, man, having a kid is amazing.
Absolutely.
Just watching my kid grow up to be something, you know, having changes every single day. You know what I I mean?
How old is he now?
2.
Oh, you still in the
only
trenches.
2. Yeah, he's only 2, man.
You in the early stage.
He's trying to talk. He's trying to do everything, man. And he's like a sponge too. So I got to watch what I do around him.
Of course.
What I say. So,
of course.
You know, that helps me out a lot too, as far as like being the role model I want to be to him. So, you know, like it's a great feeling.
Beautiful. You done?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's how wifey feel too?
Yeah. She wants a girl. She wants
okay.
a girl. Yeah.
She wants her princess.
I'm not mad at that either.
Of course.
I want a girl too,
Oh, so you ain't done then. There we go. That's understood. Yeah. I ain't trying to stir the pot, wifey. I just asking bro a question. That's it. I ain't stirring the pot up. But that's what's up, man. I'm a father, so I can really, you know, resonate with that too, bro. I just had my 4th son, as I was telling you a couple weeks. Thank you, bro. Yeah. It's different, bro. Yeah, fold different, brother.
I grew up in that 4-kid household, so I know it's gonna be fun for them.
Overly.
Yeah.
Overstimulation, overly. You got to lock in and juggle. You know, luckily hooping helped me with juggling. You know, so and it boils down to your partner. So if you have a good rapport with your partner, teamwork is everything, and that's one thing I'm learning. And like you said, you learn a lot about yourself by being a parent. What you want them to see out of their lens of how they view you, and what they soak in and what's poured in. So. That's love. That's real. That you said all that.
Sure.
Your thoughts on the 1v1 scene?
I haven't really tapped in too much, but it looks fun. I'm not the biggest one-on-one guy.
Right.
I wouldn't join, to tell you the truth, but it looks fun. I feel like everybody has their lane.
I like that answer.
Yeah, everybody has their lane, man. I just saw the Archie and what's the Najee.
I was just gonna ask you, how do you feel about that kind of thing? Because
like I said, everybody has their lane, man.
Right.
Archie's hell of a talent.
Absolutely.
He was NBA prospect. He made it to the league. I actually played with Archie in Phoenix.
He's got a resume, man. Mr. Basketball, his state. I mean, played at Kentucky under Coach Cal. I mean, he had a great career.
Oh yeah, he had a great career. I think he's still hooping, but But the other guy,
Nas.
Nas, he been doing it. He been playing that one-on-one for a little minute. I don't know how long they've been going, but his record speaks volume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just, I don't know. It'd be tough for anybody to just come in there and say they gonna, beat bruh, because he's been doing it. But, it's people who do that for real.
That's a fact.
One-on-one players.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? So
I like how you said everybody's got their own lane, because it's interesting how 1v1 wasn't a thing back when, like, you were coming out. Because like you said, there's always been guys who could play in that setting versus a 5-on-5, and you gotta run, you gotta pass, you gotta cut, it's a whole different game. 1v1 guy could probably, some of them ain't gonna really perform the same if you got someone in front of you with help defense, or if you in his own,
right?
or they playing a boxing one or something. So, I like that answer, and you respected the craft too. So I like that too, because I feel like there's a lot of critique with the 1v1 scene, with it being somewhat performative, depending on the platforms. And no disrespect to them, because they gotta get the viewership up, and it's exciting. It's exciting. You get big names, but I think this last one with Archie and Nazir was very interesting, because Archie was talking cash. I know that's your man's, no disrespect. He was talking cash, bro.
I mean, my man's like that, but but I respect, bro. Though,
respect. No, not your man's, but affiliate, associate.
Yeah.
But it's just when he was talking like that, and it's like, if you talk on that level, you've got to back it up. And I think he was standing too much on his resume and his pride, rather than accepting the task at hand and really locking into your opponent.
Right, yeah, man. Like I said, it's a different ball game,
right?
Man. That's why I like what Josh is doing as well with the Crown 3.
Oh yeah, shout out Crown 3. You already know that's my dog right here. Yeah, what's happening, Jay? Yeah. I was at the event. It was great. Had a lot of hoopers out there.
I was supposed to go, man. That was.
It's all good. He gonna have a couple more.
Right, for
sure.
Yeah,
him and Spoon be running it.
I'm tapped in. For sure. No, but yeah, man. I like the idea, man. It's 3-on-3, but it's full court.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that project will be huge.
Absolutely. And it shows, like you said, it shows another side. It shows the lanes that other players can be in. And it's just lanes of hooping. And now you can make money at it.
Right.
Before it's just, let's do a 1v1 tournament. Now you got cash prizes. Now you got 10, 15, 20, 30 racks. Shoot, the OBL tournament just happened with Paul Parks, Shout out Paul Parks,
man.
my boy.
Six Flags.
Yeah, that's my boy. I'm the cowboy too. Yeah. Shout out B Hop. Shout out all them boys. I'm my boys. I seen them at the Big Three, at the Crown 3. And it's just beautiful to see guys like that get better and better and better and stick with it. And now you really making noise. And you've been making noise, but now people see you.
Now people can see you. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
So shout out to y'all, for winning that 100K and standing on business for Atlanta.
For sure.
Because they was throwing shade in the comment section saying, oh, why you picked these guys to represent Atlanta? And they went and won it.
Come on, man.
They came home with the money on.
We had hoopers.
We got hoopers. Facts. Sure. Facts. I only got a handful of questions left, and, I ain't trying to hold it. I appreciate y'all. But what was that EuroBasket championship like? And we already spoke on that, but I just want to know, you have nationality there, right?
Now I do.
So you're a citizen?
I'm a citizen, yeah.
Are you Spanish?
Not at all.
I'm just asking, bro, because Lorenzo could be a Spanish, Hispanic,
man. Right. I get that a lot. But man, that was just random, man. I was in Russia at the time.
Okay.
And got a random call from Coach Guard Yalo.
Yeah.
And first my agent called me. He put me up on game.
Sergio.
Yeah. Coach Sergio.
Sergio, yeah. Okay, I know Sergio.
Right. So agent called me, put me up on game. And Coach Sergio was actually in Toronto.
I remember that.
When I was there. And, I was playing well in Russia. He just asked if I wanted to play on the national team.
That's tough.
But I knew about it a little bit from Paul Gasol and Rubio and all those guys.
Right.
I got a chance to hoop too, so I'm like, hell yeah.
You playing with some great players over there.
I'm with it. Let's go, you know. But it was a bunch of controversy when I got there, before I got there, because they weren't used to having a foreigner come and play with their national team.
Right.
And I was seeing everything online, and I told Coach, I'm like, if I'm stepping on any toes, I can just back up, you know what I'm saying? I'm just doing this because I like to hoop, you know what I'm saying? He was like, nah, it'll be good when you get there. Don't worry about it. I'm like, cool. Once I get there, it's all love. That's when I met Juancho, Hernan Gomez, and his brother Willie Hernan Gomez, Rudy Fernandez, Sergio Yul. These are all big names in Europe.
Oh, man. Big names. Someone played in the league.
Rudy Fernandez.
Yeah, Fernandez was tough.
Sergio Yul.
Absolutely.
Supposed to go to the league, but he backed
Was one of the Gasols on that team too?
They already had.
They had left.
Yeah, they had left.
Yeah, they had gone.
That's their foundation.
That's their foundation, right?
They call it La Familia. So that's their foundation for real. But Juancho and his brother played in the league as well.
Yeah.
And
it's looked like they really accepted you, watching it from the outside in, and it seemed like you really embraced that moment, bro.
Man. Yes, man. But people think that since they spoke Spanish and I spoke English, that it was gonna be like hell.
The issue, right?
But man, once we got going, we all speak the same language. We trying to hoop. We trying to win, man. So, push come to shove, we climbing that ladder. We climbing that ladder, climbing the ladder. And then next thing you know, we in the championship.
Right.
And then that confetti falling down.
That's tough.
I'm just looking up like, I'm like, we really just won this whole thing, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
It was a blessing, man. And I actually got to go to the Olympics with them, too.
Oh, you did? That's tough.
The Olympics with the Spanish national team.
That's so tough. That's tough. Big ups on that, because you made a statement basically saying, like, it's not even just like a love language. It's just an unspoken language that you don't even have to speak the same language, but if it's genuine, if you have the same telepathy and frequencies, and you have the same similar goals, familiar goals, it's going to align eventually, and you'll be going in a trajectory upward rather than downward.
Right.
And I think the teams that do that, of course internationally, but even in the league, because you got foreigners, quote unquote foreigners, that are in the U.S., from the outside in, outsiders. And they come over here and they hoop. Giannis, prime example, Luka, of course, a lot of the Hispanic culture. It's just tons that are winners.
Right.
So you speaking on that is huge. And I think other hoopers that played at the level you played at, or even guys who have played at some type of high level, can really resonate with that, because you don't have to know a guy. You go to a basketball camp and you playing at Pango's All-American, or you playing at Rivals camp. You don't know these cats. You might have been around them in camps and tournaments, but if you get on a team with a guy and he wants to hoop, and he's not trying to just take the starlight, He ain't trying to dribble 50 times.
Right, I hate that.
You trying to? I know.
I hated that.
I know you do. It showed in your game. You an unselfish guy. I mean, that's what you want. You know, even LeBron, one of the greatest to touch, to ever touch a basketball, he's unselfish. I can't really. Kobe, I love my brother. He's my GOAT, but he want that pill, man.
Yeah,
he want every time.
Facts.
But that's a beautiful take on that. And speak on Coach Dickerson just for a brief second.
Man, RP Coach Dickerson.
Yeah, RP, big time.
Yeah, man. Well, Coach Dickerson was outside of Moody Norris. Coach Dickerson was a guy that gave me opportunity as well. He was one of the first ever coaches that had cussed me out and then showed me love at the same time. So,
right.
He played a pivotal moment in my career growing up from Team Georgia to my inner strength days and Louisville Elite too. So,
oh man, shout out Louisville Elite. I played for them too.
Yeah, man, yeah. So
that's tough.
That whole 10 through 17, man, Dickerson was involved with the game of basketball for me.
Of course.
He introduced me to General Powell, G. Centennial was his idea as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. So, yeah, we climbed that ladder with Dickerson, man.
And, E. White told me that, and I didn't believe him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He was,
I was like, man, chill out. He ain't persuading Zoe to do that.
Yeah,
he was like, bro, I'm telling you.
I wasn't trying to lead a hood, bro.
No, for sure.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I was comfortable. You know what I mean? But you growing up and understanding life kind of put me in that position to be like, all right, it's time for a change.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Time to see something different, try new things. And, Dickerson, like I said, he played a pivotal point in that time of my life.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Shout out Dickerson, RIP Dickerson, because he played a lot of, he had a huge impact on you and a couple other brothers that are mutual friends of both of us.
Sure.
And I love when I see that in coaches because you see so much about what are the coach's true intentions today. Is it to get the dollar from the parents? Is it to really try and piggyback on a player that you think's going to go to the league and then he take off? Then you like, where I was here,
right?
Or are you really trying to build and watch that seed become a flower and watch it blossom? And not want nothing from it. If you do get something from it, cool. But the benefit is watching them become, develop and be a better version of themselves.
Right.
So I love seeing coaches that do that. I feel like that's really, I don't want to say a lost cause, but it's not out there enough.
Right.
And I know you see it at the highest level where you got guys that really have your best interest at heart, despite what's next, despite injury report, despite any salary cap. Despite any, like, if you really care about a player's well-being, it'll show. And I love that in coaches, which I think is why it's such a hard job because it can go so many different ways.
Right, especially with these young fellas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So as far as adversity for you, what do you think that means to you as far as just adversity in life?
With adversity, man, it's, I've been through so much in life, man, to wanting to crash out, to being at my peak, basketball-wise, life-wise. But just, playing the game and trying to figure it out, man. I think this thing of life is a game sometimes. I try to think of it like that and maneuver in a way to where I could win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Being creative, shooting a doc right now with my guy B Dean.
Shout out, bro.
Shout out
yes,
B
sir.
Dean, man.
Yes, sir.
We're shooting a documentary right now about my life and the things that I've done and been through. So just by him having that, spirit to want to push that for me is a blessing, man. So
absolutely.
I'm really excited about that. It's,
y'all tap in whenever that's done because we all gonna tap into that. We gonna share it. We gonna tap in. I can't wait to see that, and I can't wait to see Harrow's documentary whenever that's done.
Facts,
Y'all too got some great documentaries coming. I don't want to spill no beans, but they coming.
Yeah, man.
And I can't wait. Y'all stay tuned with some great Georgia legends. Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah, right now we're just trying to be creative, man, to the most high, man. So we're building teams, connecting with people, connecting with the right people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Pushing that narrative of positivity, man. And, that's what's important for the youth and, for us as well to be on point about what we do and how we maneuver in this life.
That's solid, bro. And again, from the beginning, I've been saying it, and I'm gonna keep preaching it because Jay knows. Shout out Jay. All I care about is that. We talk about that all the time. Anytime we speak, it's always love, and I don't want to do nothing with nobody if it's not that.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. If it makes sense, maybe I might do it, but I'm not doing it at the expense of my soul. I'm not doing it at the expense of any performative nature. It's got to be genuine. So I appreciate your genuine, solid love,
100%,
and pouring into the pod, pouring into the platform, pouring into the youth, pouring into the basketball community, that and giving your story and being vulnerable about your roots, your foundation, what you came from, because some people don't do that. A lot of guys, especially in your position, that really want to give it back in a positive way, like you said. So, that's real flowers, bro. Do you utilize that Spain citizenship? Do you get to have any downtime where you get to travel with the fam and,
man. So every year, in the season, they give us like a little FIBA break. It's like 3-4 days. And me and wifey probably hit Dubai or something like that.
Ooh.
Dubai probably one of the nicest places I've been.
I already know. That's why you brought it up first, brother.
That's probably one of the nicest places I've been, man.
For sure.
But, we always try to make a trip. We're trying to do our best now with the young fella.
Of course.
But every year we try to go somewhere different, man. So we'll see what we're going to do this year.
Yeah. So how much time you got left as far as in the tank for your career? I don't want to spill no beans on that. You can give a politically correct answer or how you just feeling, but where do you feel Lorenzo Brown is mentally, physically? How are you feeling about, everything as far as the book that's been written?
Man, who knows, man?
Right.
Tell you the truth.
Right. That's a good answer.
I want to go to the wheels fall off, but
right.
Excuse me. At the same time, I want to have a normal life.
I feel that.
You feel what I'm saying, man? So the travel and the back and forth, the hoop, the team camaraderie, I love it. But at the same time, having a normal life I feel like it'd be like
relief.
A relief.
Yeah.
You feel me, man? So like I said, who knows, man? Maybe 2-3 years. But I don't want to play till I'm 40.
I feel that.
I do not want to do that.
I feel that.
I feel that. The crib, feet up.
Right.
Figuring something else out.
Yeah. That's a great answer, man. Because a couple of my other buddies who still do it at your level, Jay Lloyd and my boy Shannon, he just recently retired. Yeah. That's something that they always spoke on was that relief. Because you always traveling, you away from home for X amount of months. You in a whole different culture. You're not around family outside of bringing your family out there. Time.
Important.
Right.
Time is important, man. That's one of the most valuable things, man. It's time. You forget how much life you miss. You got so much family back home, and you're gone from 9-10 months. You come back. Nephew 6'2",
yeah.
Mom getting older, sister getting older. You like, damn, you know what I mean? I'm missing out on so much, but at the same time, you got to feel grateful because you can take care of it.
Yeah.
You feel me? I'm,
it's a blessing.
I'm not in America as much, but I hear things and I see things about how bad the economy is and stuff like that. But just being able to provide and help out when I can is, it's very
it's real.
Yeah,
it's real, brother. It's tough out here, brother. So the fact that you get to do that at a high level for multiple of the people you love, that's definitely like that's really something that most would love to do. But at the same time, you're sacrificing, personal things that you really want to keep close to you, which is time, which you can't get back. And those relations and that growth of peers and family. So I appreciate you sharing the highs and the lows and on that and the balance, even keel side of it, and where you feel things will go, and what's to come for you. This is really it right here, y'all. This is it. I just wanted to end on that note. I appreciate you pouring into the pod, man.
For sure.
I'm glad I got a hold of you because I know you be busy. I know you be working in that gym.
Moving around.
And I also appreciate the fact that you continue to push what you're pushing, because a lot of guys, again, they don't do that. And I just want you to have a prosperous career and reap the benefits of giving that energy out, because it's reciprocated, by the right people.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for coming and pouring into the pod. Thank you for joining the show. And we over and out, y'all. Appreciate you, brother.
Man.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck to you, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Likewise, bro.
Yeah.
Over and out, y'all.